Welcome to the Sip It and Rip It podcast, I guess.
Yeah, we went on a tangent.
We went on a dark path.
I don't know if that needs to be an episode before the episode.
We might
need to cut it.
We might just start this one, and
Yeah,
you guys
probably
might.
gonna cut that out so that we don't get canceled.
I don't think we really said anything to get canceled, but we just said some dark shit. But either way, we're
That is
here
what it
now.
is.
So,
Yep.
do you have any other small talk to fill in some space?
I mean, I don't. I mean, we could jump right into gym stuff this week, and that's
Yeah.
that. While I'm not prepping for anything in particular, I am back on a powerlifting program, and it's going relatively well.
Good.
Other than potentially a torn meniscus in my left knee. But it doesn't keep me from squatting, so
That's good.
I'm kind of like.
What makes
it.
you think it's torn?
Chiropractor did all the tests for a meniscus
Okay.
the other day, and he said that's probably the case. But
Gotcha.
it seems to be getting better week to week. So
Is it something that heals on its own, or is it something that you have to get
I think
treated?
traditionally it does, but there is surgery for it too. If it
Yeah.
gets too bad. So
I guess
I've never had an acute knee injury in my left knee. But that left knee has always swollen. Like if I wear boots for too long, it was slides that did it to me. It started.
Yeah.
We were at the beach together that 3, 4, 5 days, whatever, and it kind of started when I was down there and slides every day.
Yeah.
So, it just is what it is.
I wonder if
It's swelling. The only thing it's keeping me from doing, hell, I can do lunges fine. Hack squat's a little rough for some reason. But other than hack squat, every other squat variation, my barbell squats are fine. Still plenty of power. Leg extensions seem to be the only thing that just really fry it. So
Are you bending your knees? I just spit everywhere. Are you bending your knees or bending your feet straight or out?
out seems to relieve it.
Out seems to relieve
Yeah.
it. Okay.
So
That's interesting.
it just is what it is. But two-legged's fine, but I know I'm too reliant on my right leg anyway. So I think we mentioned before, I was already doing this with RP, but I'm doing it now too. I'm trying to put a bigger emphasis on unilateral movement.
Yeah.
So my leg press is all single leg, leg extensions, leg curls are all single leg, lunges. I just don't have enough strength in my hips yet to do a split squat, but mostly unilateral stuff. So, so of course that knee is getting a little bit more wear and tear directly to it
Yeah.
because I'm doing single leg extensions and stuff. But I mean, it's hurt bad enough that I'm doing it with like 40 pounds a leg.
And
you know
that's
what I mean? And that's like
you usually
obviously stupid.
with two legs. You usually do the stack. Like,
yeah, absolutely. Like stack for
like 10,
260
15.
pound stack with the with the dial turned, and probably do that for 10 to 15 reps.
Yeah.
So
I will say one thing as far as like my left hip and glute situation, which is somewhat similar, like the imbalance there. When I get on the hip abductor machine, the thing that I notice that helps me the most to engage it is to, instead of focusing on pushing both, I just focus on pushing the left.
yeah,
My
absolutely.
right one just kind of follows suit, but if I intentionally focus on my left side, I will notice it use more.
So what I actually have programs like 3 sets per leg of single leg, and it's not really a drop set. Maybe you can call it an upset because you move the weight up. But for my last set, my 4th set is bilateral and basically as heavy as I can handle it for as many reps as I can handle it.
That makes
Of course, by that point, it's
You're already fried. Like,
so it's 150, 160 pounds, not the whole stack. But so when I'm doing that, obviously I'm focusing more on the left, but it's also just kind of hard to focus on when there is obvious pain in it. So just is what it is. Just one of those wear and tear things that getting
Old
fucking
man.
old, man.
Yeah.
The only thing that's a bummer is my knees were probably the last good joint in my body.
and they're
So
they're
now
like-
they're protesting. So
deuces, man.
yeah, and then getting used to. I've only had one heavy deadlift session. Well, prior to starting this block, I only had one heavy deadlift session since being trained by Ron. So my last heavy deadlift session, really regular deadlift sessions, were February.
Yeah.
That I was doing them every week. And I only did it one time to get a CrossFit, an easy CrossFit total, and pulled like 545 and RP too fucking easy. Called it quits, and then haven't deadlifted since. So, I'm doing sets of 8, pretty modest. First week was 325, and this week was like 335.
Yeah.
So, completely reset and just kind of getting used to it. I'm double overhanded. This week I did them beltless, but for that reason, my upper back, not my lower back, because I've started taking some tips from your situation with the glutes and rolling my hips forward more and stuff at the start. So my lower back's fine, but my upper back's getting a little fried because I'm just not used to
holding it
right now.
because that weight's. I mean, you think about when you're doing a deadlift, you're retracting your shoulders, and all your upper back is super tense.
Exactly.
So it's stabilizing the weight as you're pushing the floor away from you.
For sure.
My week at the gym was pretty good, except for the first day, which was Monday, which I came in. And I really fucked up my lower back doing squats, and I strained my left pec slightly, which was on the same day back to back, which was really fucked up because I was already like coming in, and this was the first day back after being off work for 2 weeks. So it was kind of just like a bit, because I was feeling good when I went in there. I was like, I'm gonna crush this workout. This is gonna be fucking easy. And I got slapped in the dick so hard. Like it really brought me down. And I talked to Joe about it, and it was just a hydration issue. But my lower back was fucked for a few days.
Yeah.
When I finally got back to normal, I hydrated heavily, drank some salt water, some Gatorade Zero, which Joe was like, shame on you, don't drink Gatorade, drink this other LMNT electrolyte supplement that's 10 times the cost and it's better. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy some. And it still hasn't even gotten here, but I'm just gonna have it on hand anyway. That's not a plug for either of those.
I'm surprised you don't have you making your own with Himalayan salt and.
He said I could do that too, but when I tried to do, he told me the amount to use, mixed it up with the water. I tried to drink it and I wanted to vomit, so I just couldn't do it.
That's fair.
Like just salt water, and it may just be like mental bad experience with drinking too much salt water and throwing up.
Yeah.
But that was at the lake or something. But
I'll tell you that you have to count toward your carbs, obviously, but a vertical diet trick is to put it in OJ, and then it tastes like a cocktail. It's fucking excellent.
that's fair. That might be something to consider next
And
time.
I do. He might not like it, but I use liquid IVs, drip drops. I will like cut my water with a Powerade Zero from time to time. I think his probably biggest issue with that kind of shit is the amount of volume you're gonna actually have to drink for it to be effective is probably much, much higher than necessary.
So what he said was the electrolyte profile is subpar.
Not the right shit.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
That's fair.
Just it has stuff in it, but it's not the best. Like you can get better stuff out there, like the LMNT, and he said
fair.
a couple others, but I don't remember that. Though I bought the LMNT, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm sure it tastes exactly the same as any other 0 calorie.
Shit, I like a Bio-Lot, all that shit. It's fine with me. Pedialyte. Yeah, anybody that's been enough of a drunk has drank some Pedialyte post. But I mean, all that stuff seems to help. But I do feel like one of the better things about 75 Hard, other than the workload being ridiculous, was I was so hydrated that there was sometimes in the gym was just fucking easy because
you just felt good. All your muscles were full.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was just my fault, and that was really me just not paying attention to my diet and water while I was away from work. Because when I'm on my working schedule, I'm so strict about timing and everything, because everything's down to a minute, an hour. Like it's just like I eat this time and this time and this time and this time, and then I go to sleep. I have water this time, this time, this time, and this time. It's just like it's basically a science at that point. Like just
interruptions to schedule, and that's the reason as I've gotten older, interruptions to my schedule are
more detrimental than they used to be.
and that's probably a weakness, to be honest with you. But like yesterday, I had my niece's pool party. Was happy to spend time with family. That wasn't an issue at all. But it also caused me to have to work out at Alpha. And normally Saturday's like a guaranteed. After work, I'm going to go work out at Hartsel, and that's just where I do my deadlifts, right? And it's like mentally, that's just what I do. Well, I figured out that after a long work day, I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm looking forward to my workout. But having to do it in the middle of my work day when I have everything else going on too, it just made me not want to do it. And I just had a shit attitude about my workout yesterday.
Which doesn't help you get it done, which doesn't help your, like, the actual lift, because you're just not mentally focused. You're not zoned in on it.
I really don't like an interruption in my schedule.
Yeah.
And it's not the change of scenery. I like a change of scenery when I lift. I have 2 different gym memberships, and we'll drop in other gyms and stuff like that just for a change of scenery. That's not the issue. It's that I work out when I want to work out.
Yeah.
And I do work out 6 days a week, so wanting to isn't a problem.
Right.
It's just that most of the time it's in a dead space. I don't have other things going on. Like there's a dedicated time for it, and it's just easier on me mentally.
Yeah.
So
Only other cool thing I did was something I've done before, which was 4 plates on the shoulder press machine.
yeah,
That was kind of cool.
most people that listen are probably clients of mine or friends of ours. Mm-hmm. But I'm not chasing it because I have no doubt you're stronger than me. I don't really care about that. It don't bother me like it bothers Austin. I don't give a shit. I couldn't be happier for anybody but about being strong. I personally think that most people's bench press is 9 times out of 10 is a tricep weakness, or especially bigger dudes like us, like you now.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's triceps or front delts.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, I really genuinely believe it's very, very rare as a chest issue. And I want bigger front delts. So I'm like, fuck, let's do that. And I've never been able to tolerate, volume wise, I've never recovered well from multiple days of actual barbell overhead press. Mm-hmm. So that seems just like a solution. So I have been, well, I'm not chasing you per se. I am like following you up a couple days behind you. And I tell you, I did the 3 plates. I think it went for 6 or 7, which isn't shabby at all on a shoulder press machine. But goddamn, that's heavy. And I'm confident I think I could do 4 plates now, but I'm not doing more than 1.
Yeah.
I know that I can probably
like,
hit it for 1, but I don't think I'm doing it for 6 or 7 reps.
Like, for me, it's such a mind fuck doing them, because I'm like, this is like close to my bench max. Well, no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking 4 plates, but it's less than that. It's 360.
361 pounds with the weight of the machine. Yeah.
With the weight of the machine.
The weight of the machine's only a pound, but a half pound a piece. But
I don't even count it.
But,
I just count the weight on them.
You have 180 pounds of hand, though.
Right. That's
It's
still
fucking
like...
heavy. Yeah.
But it's just so weird to me, because the first day I did them, I was like, for an RP8, I don't know, we'll throw like 2.5 plates on there. We'll see what happens. I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. I was like, well, let's throw... And I threw 3 plates on there. I was like, what the fuck?
The bodybuilding, any bodybuilders listening is going to hate me for this, and I don't really give a fuck. I was more successful with it setting my feet up like I was bench pressing.
Yeah.
Because I was just doing a lazy thing and just fucking, when I did
Like
a 2.5 a hand, I just fucking sat down and did it. And this time I was a little bit more diligent about,
Like setting up.
Yeah.
And like, honestly,
I don't really have an arch. My back's flat against the thing. My feet are behind my knees, essentially. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like setting up is very important on that machine, especially just to get that initial push off the ground.
You can't really say it's cheating, because if you were setting up for a standing overhead press, you have a
It'd be very
ritual and
similar, yeah.
yeah. I mean, you can't do it like you're bench pressing, but
Right.
we're still lock glutes, lock quads,
Yeah.
rigid core. Like there's still a setup. Like, see,
Yeah.
if that's not cheating, then why is foot placement on a machine?
Yeah. I don't know of anyone that would say that. But there's also people that say arching on a bench is cheating, and it's like, well, to a degree I agree, and to a degree I disagree.
Yeah, I mean, the X amount of arch is required to have a back tight enough to move from heavy ass
exactly.
weight. So,
And it's just like, it's better for better not only for power and strength, but for hypertrophy, because you get a better stretch on your muscles that way.
absolutely.
But people don't want to listen to that. They want to
If your shoulder blades are rolled forward, that's not stretching your chest as much as it could be. You got to have the shoulder blades pinned, and that inherently, even just standing here doing
Yeah.
it,
Like you just
drives
you
your chest up and puts an arch in your back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, fuck them.
Yeah. Essentially, that's what we got to. But anyway, that was the only really cool thing I did. So
PR songs?
yeah, we can do some.
I'm gonna have to look one up. I've listened to a lot of shit lately, and I'm about to have a lot-ish entry.
I've got 2.
Go
You
ahead.
good with 2?
Yeah, go ahead with your first, please.
So, and I'm gonna throw this one out without any context, just because everybody who is into metal should know who Corpse Grinder is. He has
Hell
a
yeah.
solo album. Death is the Only Key. So just fucking good. Like, I have the whole album on my Spotify, and it randomly popped up while I was listening. And I was like, this is Cannibal Corpse. And I looked down, it was Corpse Grinder solo. I was like, okay, like, this is fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, it's that album's just fucking good. So
Both of mine are relatively light. The first one isn't metal at all. Is The Ghost of Right Now by The Wonder Years. I just like that song. It rips. Definitely not something I'm going to listen to when I have a heavy barbell in my hands or on my back. But definitely, accessory work is fucking good. I'm a big pop punk guy. Big fan of The Wonder Years. Not a lot to say other than that song's just fucking good. So, not heavy, but
good. I'll go with my last one. Have you heard of the band called Vended?
Vended?
Vended. Vended.
I don't think I have.
So I hadn't either, and my brother shared this story, and it was Corey Taylor, he was backstage, and he was like side stage, right? And he was like headbanging, and the caption was like, when a father is like invested in his son's work or something. It was something like that. But anyway, I was like, oh, so that's Corey Taylor's kid. And I didn't hear anything other than like just a very brief, like 10, 15 seconds. I was like, I'm going to give it a shot because Corey Taylor's kid, probably, it sounds exactly like Slipknot. Like it's literally like if Slipknot from the 90s was around today. And it's really fucking good.
That's cool.
But overall by Vended. That is the one I would start with.
Is that the one that not the drummer but the percussionist kid plays drums for too?
I'm not sure. The only person I know is Corey Taylor's
I don't
kid.
know the off characters in Slipknot like I know, the people that play real instruments. But
right. Yeah.
One of the percussionists, not the drummer, but the percussionist,
Long Nose. Talking about him?
Clown, I think.
Yeah, long nose.
Maybe so. But his kid plays drums for an up and coming band that's really good. It might be the same band.
It could be because that would make sense.
But it could very well be the same band. But they're real fucking good. Pretty much, if it's not Mick, Jim, Corey, Paul, or Joey, I really don't fucking know the rest of their names.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
fair.
don't know the percussionist and the DJ's name.
Nobody pays attention.
Nobody cares. It is what it is. But my other entry is Trilogy by Silent Planet.
Okay.
Which is a fucking good song. They're a little bit just plain old metalcore with maybe a little bit of techno in them, but mostly dirty singing. But the clean singing chorus is what makes it. And it only happens twice too, and it's one of those moments in a song that you wish that it came back for a third.
Oh, really?
Or a fourth time, and it never happens again. But it is fucking unbelievable.
Is it like
it's really fucking good?
Catchy, or is it like
it's a little catchy, and it's just it doesn't sound like the Deftones, but it has that Deftones like eeriness about it. The chorus does. This kid's a better singer than Chino is. I mean, I'm a big Deftones fan, so I don't feel like I'm throwing any shade, but he's a better singer than Chino. But it has just an eeriness about it, and of course, it's just fucking cool. And you need to listen to it. Yeah. This song's kind of about going crazy. It definitely deals with mental health and shit like that. But it's fucking awesome. You need to listen to that.
Yep.
It's a good one.
Check it out.
Yeah.
By the way, because we probably are cutting out the intro to the intro to the intro.
Old fashions again. We went with some Dad whiskey, Woodford cherries, aromatic bitters instead of orange bitters this time. Simple syrup. Y'all know how to make an old fashioned by now. I'm gonna try to put forth a little bit more effort into making some braver cocktails. I would say even some braver old fashions. Me and you've discussed actually making our own simple syrup and cooking it here and stuff. But man, I think we just like it. We're getting fucking old, and listen, like there's
when you're old,
we have habits like now. Like I think we talked about this before, but when I go to a restaurant, I don't even necessarily go to restaurants I like anymore. I go to restaurants where there's people that I like whether it's the people making my food or the wait staff. Like I just find comfort in like some repetitive things sometimes.
Familiarity.
You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. And, in a world where everybody kind of fucking hates their job, it feels fucking good to go to a place to have somebody that's fucking decent at what they do and appreciate you for being there. So
excited to be there.
So,
at least superficially.
Same thing, but my fucking liquor. I mean, whiskey treats me right.
Yep.
So I revisit whiskey often. So that's what it is.
That's 90, well, not 90, but that's at least half of what's in my cabinet. So
Yeah.
which
I
is
mean,
which is a collection.
it probably really is 90% of what I drink.
Yeah, like that's just
I'm a big rum and tequila guy, and I like wine, but
yeah. We have some wine in the fridge, and we have a little bit of tequila maybe, and we have a couple bottles of rum, and then the rest of it's just whiskey. So drink whiskey.
drink whiskey.
Drink whiskey, do deadlifts. Right? We still need to do a whiskey deadlift again.
Yeah, I'm not really, I'm still actively trying to lose weight and get ready for Tampa next year, but we're not really you're in a spot right now that you can't really do anything like that, but
No, soon.
middle of November, December, we can fuck off a little bit more.
It'd be kind of hard though, with probably trying to go to QC Wellness and all that. It might be a little hard, especially if I try and do it all. Because if I want to try and go to that show, you don't
need
breaking news here. I may do a bodybuilding show, but there is no guarantees. But if I were to do that, it'd be really hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to go pull a PR on deadlift. Maybe I'll just take a shot at my meet. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I wish so hard I could be at those meets in November.
Yeah.
I think I have like 4 or 5 people. You're technically Joe's now, but you still haven't gone to a meet without me.
Yeah.
So it's going to feel fucking weird being at home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be very happy reason to be at home, but it's going to be fucking weird being at home that day with you competing on one stage and then Joey and Lance isn't one of mine, but he's become a friend of mine. Joey and Lance on another, and then Dave and a couple weeks later at IPL Worlds.
Yeah.
You got somebody competing at Worlds, son.
Yep.
That's pretty
crazy.
exciting. But I'm hoping my comeback from my brief little retirement is December 15th at Maverick. I should be there coaching, so
Okay.
I hope so.
That'd
Drug
be
tested
good.
event, so my ladies are doing that one. So
Gotcha. Kristen, Casey.
Casey,
Heather?
Heather at a new weight has dropped like 3 or 4 weight classes and
Oh my
hasn't
God.
missed any strength at all. She's lost 60 pounds.
That's impressive.
Still fucking squatting the house. Still deadlifting the house. Still could
I
probably
bet her
bench press
deadlift's
200
going to
pounds.
go up.
Leverages should be better, so I'm thinking so. She does pull more conventional, but it causes her so much pain that I'm trying not to push the issue. But she could probably be a 400-pound deadlifter conventional if she could do it and get out of her head about it. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd take some mental work, but
I think it'd take some PT work. That's what she needs is some time with a physical therapist that knows what's going on. So
that's fair too. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get with the topic, which is how to set goals, and it's pretty much it. Just like going through the realms of like PRs and like how to get yourself ready for a meet, stuff like that. So, you have any initial thoughts first on before we go down my list of subtopics?
yeah, I'll say this: my philosophy on this has shifted quite a bit. It's not necessarily that your first goal should be a physique goal, but I will say one of the first goals you should have is achieving some type of look or balance or feeling of athleticness before you start pursuing powerlifting directly.
No.
I think my experience, I come from a CrossFit background that definitely lent itself to some athleticism. If you've ever seen me pull a deadlift, if I'm going to pull it, it goes fast.
Yeah.
It is a very explosive deadlift. When squats are going well, I can pull up my 1 rep max squat all time, and you would think that it was, on camera, it looks like an RPE 5. There's things that CrossFit did do well for me. I definitely have some explosiveness and some lifts. But that being said, one thing that I lacked that I very, very much believe in now, and I'm trying to even rectify now, is balance. And one thing that bodybuilding or general physique goals bring to the table is balance. So I think goal number 1 should be, first of all, learning to be consistent, but second of all, achieving some type of physique or athletic balance.
Yeah. That makes sense. Like when I started going to the gym, I didn't really know anything. So I was just following some bodybuilding program stuff and trying to figure out along the way. Me being shy, I didn't want to talk to anybody. So I was like, not going to get help from anybody.
Right.
So it was all on me. And it's hard to say whether I know I didn't do a lot of right stuff, but I had to have done at least some. I at least had the desire to be there. And that's step number 1 to attaining a goal is wanting it. First of all, obviously you're not going to set a goal to do something you don't want, So wanting it should result in some amount of consistency
Yeah.
there. If you are not consistent in whatever it is you're trying to do,
You don't want it that
you
fucking
don't
bad.
want it that bad. Like
That's 100%
like
true.
think about this podcast. Like we want to be here. We want to do a podcast. That's why we're here every Sunday.
And we do
Well,
it
most
with very few
Sundays.
exceptions. But
Yeah.
I mean, our life's changing dramatically.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll still probably do podcasts long after both babies are here.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
so-
I mean,
It is what anything you want generally comes with some consistency, right? It was true of me in music. Like there was a time I didn't go a day without practicing. Do I practice every day now? No. But, you know, it is what it is, right? I'm not actively pursuing that profession any longer. As a coach, I want to be better because if I'm the better I am, the better, not necessarily the better my clientele is, but the more there definitely comes some there definitely is weighted, right? Like your experience and your ability to perform these things absolutely counts toward your ability as a coach.
yeah.
Or at least the way you're perceived as your ability to coach. I don't believe a good powerlifting coach has to be the greatest in the
elite total,
world.
yeah.
You know what I mean? But you should be able to do these things
Or at least have shown that you could in the past. Like
some
if you're
proficiency.
older.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. You
know.
should be able to do these things with some proficiency, right? But anything that you want, relationships, like you want your girl lady to stick around, you're probably going to actively work on your relationship.
Right.
There's going to have to be some consistency in what you do and how you act and stuff like
Yeah.
that, right? I mean, so consistency is a good first goal.
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much will achieve what I'm talking about. Too.
Yeah. Essentially, yeah.
Absolutely.
Because
and if you're starting from a CrossFit background, there's nothing wrong with that. Just know inherently there's going to be some issues arise that can be addressed later, but balance is one of those things. But I think the first goal you should set for yourself, if it's 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, whatever it may be, come hell or high water, you're going to do whatever split you have written.
yeah.
Consistency.
So my first subtopic that I wrote down was to be realistic.
Hell yeah.
So essentially, like maybe you're coming in day one powerlifting. Maybe this is literally you don't know anything. You're just coming in day one. You're not going to come in and set the world on fire.
You're not.
You're not going to go out there and squat 800 pounds and
Right.
you're just not. Doesn't mean you can't in the future. And maybe your goal when you step in, like I'm going to be an all-time world record holder in the squat. Great. Be realistic. If you're going to do that, you're going to have to put in all of the work starting today.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that being realistic, not just about, so some people are obviously naturally stronger than others. There's genetic components to this. Were they athletes in the past? Things like that. They're going to allow them to be a little bit better on the front end than other people are. There's no replacement for hard work, regardless of how good you are. But I would say, easy, like, first-time goals for a power lifter would probably be, and this is going to sound really, really low, but I think the first, probably within the first 3 to 6 months, your first goal should be body weight on deadlift and squat and 3/4 of your body weight on bench press. Seems really, really menial, right?
Yeah.
But still, there's nothing wrong with that goal. That's fine. It gets you somewhere. It gets you started. If you're a 300-pound guy and you have a 300-pound squat and deadlift, are you super strong? No, but you're probably moving well, and you're still probably better than most of the population at that point, right?
Truthfully, depending on how your body composition is, that weight may go down or go up. It's more than likely to go down if you're just starting,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So you think about the gap gets further and further, whether you're going in one direction or the other.
Right.
So you're just going to get better if you lose weight and you stay at a 300-pound squat. Guess what? Your squat's better.
Yeah,
A lot of
absolutely.
people don't look at it that way. They're
They
like, I
don't.
didn't gain strength. I'm still squatting 300 pounds.
Yeah, we're talking about the
But-
infancy of this too.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure in that first 3 to 6 months you should mess around with a 1 rep max. If I'm being
No,
honest with you.
I would not. I would, and I think you would agree, just based on what you just said and how long I've known you. I wouldn't worry about any sort of competitions, 1 rep maxes, anything like that. I'd be like doing sets of 12, sets of 10, and hammering work, hammering form, getting things right first.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like technical ability. So maybe to allow that and to facilitate this, I would say a good first time gym goer, not even if you're a first time gym goer, maybe first to powerlifting, can you run a program to completion?
Yeah.
As it's written,
Completely just like followed it step by step.
step by
100%
step,
of the
didn't
way.
overreach, didn't put 185 on the bar when it called for 155, didn't write it off and do 100 when it said 155 either. But like,
Yeah.
did I follow a program to completion?
Yeah.
Probably a pretty good. Listen, for most people, I probably going to start out with a pretty conservative 1 rep max. You should probably should be an estimated, and like I said,
Yeah.
not found. Something like squats and milk or powerlifting to win would be good. That way there's no pressure to start at any given amount of weight or
Right.
percentage, and you're just adding weight periodically to the bar. That'd probably be the better way to go. But yeah, can you run a linear program to completion? Like, I'd probably suggest, like I said, powerlifting to win or squats and milk or
Yeah.
something like that. Like, that way, regardless of your skill level, if you're strong enough in the beginning to squat 135 appropriately for 20 reps, that's fine. Or if you have to start with an empty barbell, that's fine. Can you run it to completion, and can you make it look pretty?
Yeah.
Now, that being said, in the beginning, probably not going to look pretty.
Yeah.
But that should be a goal, that first, should be a goal for everybody for the entire lifting career. But it should be a major goal, especially in that first 6 weeks. Say if you do squats and milk, like, yeah, you're supposed to go, if you start with an empty barbell at 45 day 1, yeah, day 2, you're doing 50 pounds, but can you make the 50 look like the 45?
Yeah.
Do you know the rules of powerlifting? Do you know what consistent depth looks like? Like, if you're going to get into this, definitely an education on the front end of exactly what this is supposed to look like. That way you're not training a half squat for half your first year before some old head like me comes and is like, that's bullshit. You're going to get roasted for it. Like, that's a lot of good, that's a lot of good information. That being said, though, very, very few of us start out this way in any type of ideal way whatsoever.
Absolutely. We all kind of get an idea of we don't really need help. Some people,
Especially men.
yeah, especially men. Like I was like, oh, I can just look all this stuff up. I don't need someone to tell me. I can just look it up on the internet.
Yeah, you can listen, man. You can watch a lot of internet videos, but it takes one person saying a cue in a way that connects with you to make something really click.
Yeah.
I mean, even now for you, like, we had a suspicion before you started with Joe that glutes may be an issue. But it took Joe being with you to tell you specifically how to address it in the way Joe said it for something like that to click.
Yeah.
That's going to be especially true of a beginner.
Yeah. Especially since just think, for example, pushing your knees out.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, what do you mean push my knees out? Where are they going? Are they going forward out? Are they going out, like left and right out? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be a lot of stuff that they don't know. And just like,
Yeah, honestly, as a beginner, one thing I would find and focus on consistently is the only two things I'd worry about as a beginner is my back neutral in the squat and deadlift, and am I going, if you're looking to be a powerlifter, am I going to competition depth?
right.
Do I have the mobility right now to go to? You can start powerlifting and not have the mobility to do those things.
Yeah. You can work on that and get
can work
there
on that,
before,
yeah, but
before you ever.
Those are the first two. I don't like overwhelming people with cues. I don't think they need to know everything there is to know about a squat the first 6 months they're under a bar.
Right.
Just overwhelm them.
Yeah. It's very easy to do with new people.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
But just to tie it all back, just being realistic, right? So
Yeah.
you're not going to set the world on fire when you go out there.
Be realistic about.
So when you set your goal of, maybe you have a goal, like I said in the beginning, 800-pound squat, all-time world record, whatever it may be.
You're going to have to squat 100 before you can squat 200, before you can squat 300, before you can squat 4.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just be realistic. Know that there is a plan, a timeline. You have to figure all these things out and be realistic. And I was going to segue this really good, and that was what it is. I had to look back at my notes, but be realistic and set small goals first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like you just said, You have an 800-pound squat goal. Well, where are you at now? How long is it going to take you to get to that? Where's each small goal going to line up in the grand scheme of things?
Sure.
So let's take, for example, the squat again. I don't know why I keep coming back to squat because I suck at them. But let's say you're an intermediate power lifter. Let's say your squat is 400 to 500 pounds. Right, that's pretty solid, right? You're already still
barely make the cut.
Well, I mean,
505.
well,
barely make the cut.
Me too. I only have like 545. Like that's my best in competition. But anyway, let's say you have 400 or 500 squat. Your goal is to squat 800 pounds. Well, you're gonna have to set the goal of, well, I got to hit 550, and I got to hit 6, and I got to hit 650. Got to hit 7, then I got to hit 710 and 715.
Yeah, absolutely. It slows down the better you get.
The better you get, it slows down a lot, which goes back to being realistic. But like, you have to understand your newbie games go away too. Yeah. Like you really have to understand that you have to follow things very specifically to get there. So going back to before I started with Joe, I laid out this long 12-week plan of reverse engineering a 700-pound deadlift. And so I had a plan, and it was like, I have to hit this, and then I have to hit this, and I have to hit this, and I have to hit this. And there was some rollback, but essentially I was gaining 10 pounds on my deadlift for 8 reps every month. Yeah. So essentially I was going up 10 pounds every month by the time I would hit my top set of 8 again at the end of the month. So I was very realistic in the fact that I knew I wasn't going to hit it right at the beginning. I wasn't going to be able to start at my 8 rep max. Yeah. That'd be crazy. Like, I'm just going to go out, deadlift an 8 rep max, and then be able to next week come in and deadlift more. Yeah, exactly. And then deadlift more. It's just not going to happen. Right. So setting small goals and being realistic all kind of go in the same vein, but that's really...
If you want really just hard numbers and like gym bro numbers that you can relate to, my first goal that I would concentrate on is probably two plates, 3 plates, and 4 plates. Yeah. And you bench 225, squat 315, and deadlift 405. Now, that's going to have some wiggle room in it. Some of us are better at deadlifts than squats, me and you. Yeah. Much better at deadlifts. Some of us are, maybe you have an athletic background that makes you a little bit more upper body centric, and you squat a little less and bench a little more or something like that. But 2, 3, and 4, that's fine. Like that would be a really solid 6-month goal, to be honest with you. Yeah. No shame in that at all. There's people that chase, man, it's definitely smaller gym bros that chase 225 half their lifting life. Like, but 2, 3, and 4, and can you do it to, if you know you're getting into this and you know you like powerlifting, then can you do 2, 3, and 4 to competition standards? Yeah. You need a pause rep at 225. You need a 315 to depth. Mm-hmm. And you need a 405 without dropping it on the way down. Yeah.
Or letting it slip out of your hand.
Or celebrating too early and no ramp or anything like that, but a clean 405, not the CrossFit drop at the top. Mm-hmm. Like, that's that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff matters. But I mean, it's hard to really quantify what. So many weight classes and everything. It's hard to really quantify it. But that'd be regardless of a man's size, that'd probably be a really good first goal for
a brand new person coming in. Yeah. So I had a thought.
And, Alan. You know who Alan Thrall is? Has Train Untamed or Untamed Strength.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Gym in California. He's a veteran, big metalhead like us. But he was a powerlifter early on and then transitioned to strongman. He's like a lightweight strongman now, but has a really, really good gym, and he's a really, really good coach. He was just saying, simply said, like, focus on just getting to the next plate. Yeah. This is the next plate. What do I need to do to get to the next plate? And that adds up eventually. And that's a really, really just simplified, almost idiotic way to put that. Mm-hmm. But, like, it's kind of true. Like, because, like, everything that we think of, all those landmark numbers in our head, like, you just pressed, you got more than this now, but you pressing 405 is a big deal to you. Yeah. Like, it almost always comes back to
that plate.
It seems to go back to an even 100 for me for some reason. Like, I think because I've been stuck on 15, I want 4, 5, and 6. Right? Yeah. Like, but, like, I don't know. If you have to minimize it like that in your head, there's nothing wrong with it at all. There's nothing. And that 3, 4, and 5 mark, by the time you have a 1,200 pound total, regardless of your weight, you're at 1,200 pounds. You're better. I mean, you're stronger than 99 out of 100 gym bros.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a powerlifting podcast. So everybody here is thinking 1,200 pounds is
it's dog.
That
shit.
ain't shit. You know what I mean? Those are like those are like probably
rookie numbers.
Realistically, those are 10 rep maxes for me and you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, hell, those are 10 rep maxes for me, and I'm much weaker than you are. You know what I mean? So like, it does seem minimized, but like at 3, 4, and 5, you're stronger than most of your peers in the gym.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a powerlifting dedicated gym.
Right.
If you're a commercial gym, you're probably stronger than most people that walk in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, little goals like that's fine.
And another way to look at it too is just like even more if you want to like get really nuanced and put it really under a microscope. One thing that we did a lot when you were programming me was, so we'd do week 1 would be, let's just say 225 for 10. Next week, 235 for 10. Next week, 245 for whatever you get.
Yeah, I do a lot of AMRAPs on the 3rd week.
Right. But the goal here is just looking at it as like, well, I did more than I did last week. Technically, that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So you're still adding weight to the bar. And even though it's like, well, it's not my 1 rep max, like I didn't put 10 pounds on my 1 rep max. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But you still, that goal of getting 10 more pounds on a 10 rep set than your last one. That's an even like just a super small goal.
Yeah.
Just like making it to the next day, getting those extra 10 pounds.
One thing that me and you know now is getting to that next plate is always infinitely harder than the last plate you got to. Like the trip on bench press, the trip from 225 to 315, fucking way longer than the trip from 135 to 225, especially as a bigger dude. Like, 225 came pretty fucking fast. I was still actively doing CrossFit when I started repping 225. Right. You know what I mean? So I was pretty thin. I was probably 215, 220 when I was actively repping 225 for not a lot, but 5 or 6 reps. Right. But that trip from 135 to 225 ain't shit. That trip from 225 to 315,
it's different.
It's different. The trip from 315 to 405 that I'm in the middle of currently, different. I've doubled 385's been my best. So it stands to reason I could have gotten 405 for a single, but it is vastly different going from 315 to 405.
And the interesting thing about it is that to get from 135 to 225, the goals are different. The goals are really like hypertrophy based. It's like just getting more muscle on your body, getting form right, whatever. From 225 to 315, it becomes a little more specific. It becomes what's a weakness. Where do I need to put more attention at? Is it my form? Is it my triceps being weak? Is it my chest being weak? Is it my back is
more
weak?
Nuanced technical things like foot placement. Some things are better for other people than they are there. It becomes a lot more. It almost seems like the better you get, the more problems you have.
Yeah.
Because part of it's because you just become more aware of the things it's going to take to get to the next plate, basically. So, I mean, it's funny, man, but like, short term, we're talking about goal setting and short term. If you have a 225 pound bench press now and you want 315, you got to know that you're going to have to hit 250 before you can hit 315.
Yep.
And you're going to have to hit 275 before you hit 315. Like, I kind of still separate it. This is basic gym bro math. That's just the way my brain works. Overhead press would be a goal for me right now. My 1 rep max on overhead press is a measly 225 pounds. If I were going to go to the gym and train specifically for an overhead press 1 rep max, my next goal is probably going to be 245.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I don't want to press 315. But I know as a trainer and as somebody involved in this, 315 is not going to go before 245 goes. Yeah. 245 is going to have to go for reps before 315 goes. Yeah. 275 is going to have to go for a triple or better before 315 goes. Yeah. Like, it's okay to have a stairway to those ultimate goals. Ultimate goals are fine. Like, you should absolutely have them, but you're going to have to set goals in between that are realistic. And again, like you said, the better, like we've both said, the better you get, the harder it is to do. Me right now being on the cusp of a 405 pound press, my next goal is anything above 385.
Yeah.
If it's
395.
387 and a half, if it's 390 or 395, that's one step closer. And that's the way you have to frame it. I mean, those first 6 months are going to be wild because you probably will go from, pressing 155 to 245 in the first, 3 to 6 months you're in there.
Yeah.
That shit slows down. You're not going to PR. The biggest jump that you made with me was as a beginner, you had a 275 pound squat for 2, 295 pound bench. I don't remember what you had for deadlift.
385 for 2.
385 for 2. And, and you turned around and went 385.
385.
335.
No, I missed that. It was 320.
320 and a 545 pound deadlift, right? So, I mean.
And you think about it, that's a 6-month time span.
That's newbie gains, right?
Yeah.
How long's it been for you to go to the next 100 on all those things? You know what I mean?
You think about it, it was 2020 when I hit 545. It was 2021 when I hit
655.
655. Was it 2021 or was it 2022? It may have been 2022.
And whenever,
Oh, I've competed. No, it was 2021.
Yeah, because it was in Knoxville.
Yeah, and then I hit 655
again
at
last
222.
November.
Now I didn't max out, but if I had, the most I think I would have gotten that day was 675.
So you're talking about 20 pounds. So you've watched him go from adding 200 pounds to adding 100 pounds to maybe adding 20.
Maybe adding 20
in a year. That's how fast those newbie gains go away. They just dried up.
Yeah.
And we know rep to rep sets that you do that you're a lot stronger than you were when you hit that 655. But here we are. We're still, another year out. We're still 2 years out. We're still chasing 700.
Yeah.
Not now. I know that you'll get it, but like the gap between that 385 for 2 to 545, even though it's wider in terms of an actual number, it happened much, much faster than you're now 655 to 700.
Yeah.
And that takes, and let me tell you something, when those newbie gains start going away, I mean, that's something that separates men from boys, because when that goes away, it takes a lot of grit and dedication to go
further.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I had a 370 pound bench press for years before I hit that 385 for 2. Years. But I mean, the time it took me to get to 315 didn't take near as long as the time it's taken me to get to 405.
Just talking about bench press, I failed 405 several times before I got it.
Yeah.
And I hit it once in practice with elbow sleeves, and then missed it on meet day. And I missed it another time. I can't remember when I tried again, but I think it was it was when both of my pecs strained at the same time at the mock meet. I was going for 405. Missed it. Hurt myself doing it. When I went to do it the next time, I got 420. So just be realistic, be mindful of it. Remember that even if you do fail, that doesn't mean you've lost.
Yeah.
You just
this sport will absolutely kick you in the nuts. I'll tell you this. One thing I've learned the hard way, and it's really easy to do this on a lower body lift like squat or deadlift. In most instances, your body doesn't know too much of a difference between 10 or 20 pounds on a squat or a deadlift. It doesn't. You know what I mean? There's been plenty of times where on a day I pulled 545, I probably could have done 585. And very little difference in my hands, the way it feels, stuff like that. When you start getting really strong, it matters very, very little. But I'll tell you this, on the big end, when you start talking about your 1 rep max, if you can only manage a 5 pound PR, you better take that fucking 5 pound PR. There's definitely some wisdom in learning when to walk away. If it's the best you've ever done, fucking be happy, go home, eat yourself a fucking cheeseburger, celebrate, get back in the gym, do it again the next day, because they're fewer and farther between all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to, that first little time in powerlifting, or even a little trickier, that first amount of time when you go from being a natural powerlifter to being on gear. And you almost get those newbie gains back, and you put 30, 40 pounds on every lift. And you're, like I said, it almost feels like those newbie games again. Fuck, I can put on 20 more pounds and do this. Mm-hmm. That's a mind fuck, and you're not going to be able to do that like you think you are.
Yeah.
Like 100%. That's like almost like a mental reset, like when you go from being a natural lifter to being enhanced. Mm-hmm. Like that gear's only going to take you so far. It helps recovery. It helps everything else. It hurts. It hurts your brain though. It hurts stupidity. It definitely is going to encourage some stupid shit sometimes, and you will absolutely get hurt doing that. Yeah. So one of the biggest things I can tell a beginner in goal setting is be happy with a 5 or 10 pound PR.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a 100-pound PR every time you go into the fucking gym. Yeah. It doesn't have to be 20.
Yeah.
I mean,
just going back a little bit, but we were talking about like I failed 405 a couple times. So I was going to veer off to my other subtopic if you're good with
that. I'm good with it.
So I failed 405 several times. The goal, the thing is, like, don't be afraid to reevaluate your timeline. Like, just because you didn't hit it, like, let's say, like, my goal, my timeline, I was gonna hit 405 at the meet. I didn't. So we scale back. We go, okay, well, I didn't hit it, so now my timeline changes. Right? I didn't get as strong as I needed to hit 405. So now, even though things are shifting backwards, and they may or may not like in real life, they may or may not have actually moved. Like you may have actually not been strong enough, or you may have been. You had a bad day. When I got that 405, my handout was bad. Like there are several things that could have caused me to miss it.
Maybe your coach fucked up your peak.
I don't know about that, but I don't think it was that, but unless you're talking about something else, not directed at me.
I'm thinking it is. No, not directed at you. In general, I mean, I have programmed some irresponsible peaks. Mm-hmm. Any coach that says they haven't is full of shit because that's how you learn. Right. But I have seen some pretty goddamn irresponsible peaks before. Mm-hmm. People fucking, not even a program 1 rep max, but like finding a new 1 rep max means, go till you can't basically. Yeah. Less than 10 days out. You know what I mean? Like,
that's rough.
That kind of shit, and expecting people's CNS to be improved by the time meet day rolls around is like, so there's a lot of things that go in.
Right.
But regardless of the reason of the shift, mm-hmm. you shouldn't be afraid to shift your timeline. Yeah. And it should make you reassess everything because it helps.
Yeah. Because like you think about going in, if your ultimate goal, I'm going back to the same example, your ultimate goal is an 800-pound squat. Just because your timeline shifts doesn't mean you're not going to get that ultimate goal of an 800-pound squat.
No.
Like it may have been pushed back. It may not have. You may fail and things shift back, but you learned something. You learned a weakness. You learned a strength. You learned something that you can take and improve upon and make things so much better. Maybe it was just a big enough kick in the ass that you decided to get some help. Like with me, like getting, it wasn't really a strength thing, but getting my lower back so fucked up by squatting that I reached out to get help. Maybe that's all it takes. Maybe that, instead of like pulling you away from your goal, actually gets you closer to it because you're going to fix things that were a problem. Maybe if I had kept squatting like I did, maybe I was going to hurt myself. Yeah, never achieve that goal of an 800-pound squat.
And a good way to look at that is learning to check your pride and your ego is absolutely a goal you need to learn in this sport. Yeah. Probably in any sport. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely something that you need to learn because, listen, man. I mean, talking about bad peaks. How many lifters have you seen with really, really, really that are really, really, really promising that just refuse to get a coach to the point that they're just like, we're going balls to the wall as hard as we can up until meet day, and then they go out and shit the fucking bed. Mm-hmm. And you know in your heart, because you've worked out with them before, that they probably were one of the strongest people out there, but
they fucked up.
Nothing to show for it because they're unwilling to say, I need help.
Right.
Like,
I don't know enough.
Or man, you can know everything in the world and an outside perspective will still change fucking everything.
Yeah.
Like, listen, like, you know, in terms of knowledge and ability, I'm as well equipped as anybody to write my own program, peak myself, take myself through an entire prep. But I'm smart enough to know that sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, and that you need an outside perspective to. Fuck, Joe is one of the greatest powerlifters on the planet, and has a coach.
That tells you all you need to know.
I mean? Like, and does Joe know more or less than his coach? It probably depends on the perspective, but I'd be willing to bet that if anybody knew as much as his coach did, it'd probably be Joe. Like, but it's the outside perspective and somebody willing to check you and being like,
right. Because you can look at your lifts, and you can do one of two things. You can be incredibly hard on yourself, or you can justify things.
Yeah, and listen, justifying things or being overly critical, because I've been both those things. Both of them is just as crippling as the next.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, you can absolutely be stuck in I have to get this technique corrected. I have to do this. I have to get this corrected, to the point that you never put heavy weight back on their back again, and you just become weak.
Yeah, because you lose that stimulus.
Yeah, you lose the stimulus, and then you can also overstimulate to the point you just run yourself into the dirt and end up hurt.
Yeah, or just weak on meat day.
Or weak on meat day.
Like
Yep.
best case scenario, like you just show up, you're not well peaked, you feel like shit.
Peak
Go in
too
there,
soon.
you start warming up, you're like, oh shit, this isn't good. You bomb out your squats, and you're like, well, I'm leaving. Like fuck, like I can't do this.
Yeah, well, that's not.
You know?
That's not anything. You know, that's nothing to be proud of for sure. I mean, this goal setting thing, man. I mean, it's you definitely talk about it more longer and more often than what we can talk about it, but and in greater detail than what time permits. Really.
Right.
But I mean, you know, there's a lot of things that go into this. I mean, I really do think as a beginner, your main goal should be consistency. And can you run? I'll go back to what I originally said. Can you run a program not designed by yourself to completion? Can you see it? Can you see it through beginning to end? That should be goal number one. I really do believe that.
For sure. I just got a couple more sub points, and pretty much, and we kind of talked about this, like, sort of, but like having a plan for obstacles that get in your way. So whether that be reverting the timeline because you failed something, or you get hurt, minor injury, or major injury, like some sort of obstacle, you need to have a plan for it. So let's say you go in and you are squatting and you're hitting a good amount of reps or whatever, and you feel pretty good, and you go on your next set and something gets really fucked up. Don't know what happened. Something gets really fucked up. Well, that's an obstacle you need to plan for. So in my instance, with my poor hydration, I now have a plan in set. So if I start to notice, oh man, things aren't going right. Did I drink enough water? Is my hydration bad? I'm going to now have these hydration packs in my bag, and I can just be like, okay, even though I realize, Joe has me on set rest times, so I may have to step away for a little longer. I know he's going to want me to do that because he's not going to want me to get hurt and risk the platform for some stupid double at 4:05 because I was just being dumb and not paying attention.
Body.
Yeah, so having that plan, so I now know, okay, I've got this hydration pack. I can step away from the bar, drink this hydration pack, sit for 15 minutes, kind of let my body absorb it, go back under it, see how it feels, make sure everything's good. If it's not, walk away.
So I have my answer. This is a good point, a good subtopic to the subtopic, because when you talk about preparation, nutrition and hydration are incredibly important. And I'm trying to do this in the mind frame of a beginner and setting goals. And I have my answer for this, I think. But how much, now that you know what you know, and you've gone as far as you have, and you've been incredibly dedicated to the diet, and even before you knew how to diet correctly for what you were doing, you were still pretty dedicated to a diet. How much weight would you put on nailing down your nutrition as being a goal on the front end for a beginner?
It should be basically the goal. Like
I would,
it shouldn't even be second to the training, because if you're like us, you enjoy the training.
right. The training
You don't
comes
enjoy the dieting.
Right.
So if you can nail your diet and hydration, you're going to go really far.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, and that's exactly my answer. The more well practiced you are at that, the better. And there's a mental game too. If you can beat the food part of the mental aspect of this, whether you're having to cut down to a healthy weight, or pick up weight so you can be stronger, whatever the situation may be, if you can get that part down, the rest of this is mentally pretty easy.
Yeah. From a mental aspect.
Honestly, eating good and eating healthy on a consistent basis is much scarier to me now than getting under a 1 rep max back squat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that 1 rep max, come hell or high water, whether I lock it out or not, it's over and done with in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Like,
But
the mental aspect of having to eat things that you just don't want to fucking eat. If you're a big person like me, or if you're a hard gainer like Nathan was, and having to force feed and eat when it's uncomfortable to eat, you wasn't hungry, and still having to do that in a way that it's still healthy and like applicable for you, and it's not going to kill you long term, is incredibly fucking difficult.
Yeah.
That short term goal may be, like I said, it may be the ultimate one, even above the training and stuff like that.
Yeah. I would say so, and only for the fact that if you can go in with a shitty diet and feel shitty, and you can still go in and lift weights.
And you can still get stronger to a point.
But how much more can you gain from your workout with good nutrition and hydration?
A ton.
Tons. Like you risk injury going in there poorly hydrated. That's one thing me and Joe were talking about. The most common strains and muscle tears come from poor hydration. Like that's just it. So that's the importance of it. Like if and you think about it, 405 might be heavy to some people, but for me, that's
an easy squat or deadlift.
I'm talking about squat just because referring back to what I did, like it was 405 for 2 sets of 3. That was my squat program for Monday. And I still got hurt on it. My lower back was messed up. And I mean, like, it hurt to sit down and stand up hurt.
Yeah.
That's something that I can do for like 8 to 10 reps.
And you were taken out by something that a couple of bottles of water would have
fixed.
Yeah.
Like if I had just like drank water the night before and the day of and just paid attention to it, like I would have had such a better training session.
Sure.
Like it wouldn't have pained me. I wouldn't have missed a day at the gym, because I missed a day at the gym because of that. I had to skip my second day and push it. Well, I didn't skip it, but I pushed it off, which messed up my schedule.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's just super important and very, very heavily needs to be paid attention to. And I personally, after that situation, I told Joe that I'm committing to a hydro jug, because I have one and I've used it before, and I'm just like, I'm hanging on to it and I'm using it, you know, to make sure that I get my hydration.
Absolutely. I mean, God, there's so much to be said about nutrition, man. And I've not been the best one to follow it. We've talked about that till we're blue in the face, but it does seems to me though that the people I've had most dedicated to their diet have been the ones that have been most successful on the platform. You were probably the glaring example of that. But other people that have been super, we're talking about more modest totals, but not really for their age. But think about, and maybe some of this just comes with age too, and just some wisdom in it. But you think about like Tammy and Dave Hayes.
Yeah.
Dave has been really, really consistent at kicking ass, even though his total's modest, but at his age, it's not. It's very, very strong. But that's somebody that pays attention to his diet all the way through. Largely is pretty hydrated. Handles his own water cuts and stuff the week of weigh-in, and has been successful at it because I can trust him with it. But as somebody that's paid attention to nutrition, Tammy is somebody else that she's never really, she's had good and better meat days, but she's never had a bad meat day because she's always been pretty well dedicated to that. I've never had a problem getting you to eat enough food.
Yeah.
Like, if you come in weak, it's got to be because of sleep or something
Or
else,
being sick,
or being
like,
sick or something like that. But
definitely
like, I don't have to worry whether or not you ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I know that you did that
twice more,
and twice more. I know that you've done that. But like, and then some of my girls, I think that Casey and Heather Calvert probably come to mind first. But like, and Heather's not now, but both of them are heavier weight ladies, so we're not dealing with cuts and stuff like that. But they typically perform a little better than the rest of my girls because I don't have to worry about whether or not they've drank water or eaten good.
Right.
Like, they've typically done what's required of them.
Right. They hit their macros, right?
Yeah,
Like, you're
absolutely.
not worried about them like under eating their protein or carbs. Like,
Yeah, we're not. I know that they're going to come in, well fed, well rested, well hydrated. Like,
and not from a powerlifting aspect, but you think about how well Elizabeth did her whole prep for her show.
none of that happens if she's not dedicated to.
Yeah, like from a
a diet
bodybuilding
and-
show, like if you're not dieting, you're not bodybuilding. Like that's it.
Yeah.
You
Period.
can put muscle mass on.
I'm not even
all
sure I
day.
believe in a dirty bulk in a bodybuilding phase anymore. Like, honest to God, I think one thing that separates good ones from better ones is their willingness to clean bulk as well as they clean cut and everything
Right.
else. I mean,
Just having good nutrition, like that's
absolutely.
It is like when you think about bulking, it's just a surplus of food. Now, sometimes eating a surplus of food is more difficult,
and
it's
it could
easy.
mean more calorie dense things, but we're not talking about swapping chicken breast for fried chicken. We're talking about swapping chicken breast for chicken thighs.
Right, or sirloin for ribeye. Anything that's just going to
A
add
white
extra
egg for a whole egg. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
And that's ideally the best way to bulk is still with whole foods. You're still eating shit tons of rice. You're still eating shit tons
lean
of
meat, fat still in check for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with bulking on a low carb diet either. I don't know how successful you'll be. It'll still be a surplus, but
I mean, the
your
surplus is
muscle-
surplus, but I mean,
your muscles won't feel as full without the
I know
carbs.
that some people I follow that have done that are exclusively carnivores. Mostly, the people that are exclusively carnivores that are any degree of successful with it are a little bit more realistic about it, and do eat more to accommodate the lack of macro profile. I guess
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So they're already eating more calories than most.
Yeah.
But those people, largely people do make that decision because of gut health and they just feel better in general. It's not because it translates to athletic performance.
Yeah. Someone that comes
The people
to mind,
that I've, go ahead.
someone that comes to me at mine, and he's not a power lifter or a bodybuilder, but he's just going for health reasons, is Albert.
Yeah.
I've just talked to him recently, and that's why he's on my mind. He went back. He's doing carnivore now. Like he's focused. Well, I think he said he's doing carnivore, but he may have just done regular keto. But it's because he feels better when he eats in a ketogenic diet.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that, right?
Yeah.
But like the smarter ones that have done that, they typically bulk with to get carbohydrates in. They typically bulk with dairy and honey.
Right.
If you look at it from that perspective, all of a sudden their macronutrient profile doesn't look so fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
there's
Like
plenty of
those are
carbs in
fast
that.
carbs, just like white rice is. They're easily digested. They're easy as long as you're not lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
They're on a healthy gut. They're easy on people's stomach. So I mean, it makes sense. But regardless of what, fucking vegans, like, guy I know close to us now is a vegan. I don't train him yet. I hope I get to eventually. But like even him, like he understands that he's missing X amount of things and he's going to have to eat
Tons of beans and rice.
tons of, tons of things like that. And even for us, like it's okay, even on a clean bulk to opt for more calorie dense foods. Like maybe instead of white rice, you're doing a little bit of pasta here and there.
Yeah.
That's fine. Probably still need to keep your fats a little bit on the lower side. We know that, Dr. Lane talks about this all the time. And it's kind of the problem with keto or carnivore to an extent, but fat being adipose tissue is more likely to store as adipose tissue than a carbohydrate is. That's not to say you can't lose weight on carnivore keto. We know you can. Like, that's not talking shit. It's just that there's a more direct translation to doing that. So if you're on a bulk, it stands to reason a lower fat number and a higher carbohydrate number it's probably going to put less fat on you than a higher fat content would. I mean, regardless of how you're doing it or what you're doing it, but like some degree of importance and weight on your nutrition really needs to be an upfront short-term goal to get nailed down as a new lifter, because like it's going to make your life easier if you establish that good habit early and often.
Yeah. And just a touch more on it, as far as the goal setting of it, your goal may not be to stick to a strict diet day one. It may be, my goal is to cut out soda, right? Or to replace it for 0 calorie soda, something that's going to
replace it with water, whatever,
right.
Some small thing like that.
Right. For some people, it's not small, but like one change, small step, small goal. All right, you've cut all that out. All right, well, now I'm feeling pretty good. Maybe I can do this diet thing. Let's cut out some junk food. Let's cut out those Reese's, or only eat them once a week instead of every day.
Oreos.
Reese's and Oreos are probably the best too. I mean, let's be honest here. Man, I don't want to go on a tangent, but goddamn, the Reese's ice cream is so fucking good.
Yeah,
the Reese's brand.
Though, right?
No, it's Reese's brand.
Okay.
You probably not had it then.
No.
I ate half a carton in one sitting.
I don't need to try it. I'm not.
It made me. I ate it so much it made me sick. Like I was like literally shitting water after I ate.
Yeah, so I do have a little bit of lactose intolerance now. It's what seems to be the worst is ice cream, and I think it's because of the heavy cream in it.
Probably.
And I drink even though I do drink a lot of dairy, I drink almost exclusively Fairlife, which is lactose free because of the filtration. So like real dairy outside of cheese doesn't fuck me up, but real dairy outside of cheese really fucking hammers my stomach.
Too much cheese still hits me. I think I've slightly become lactose intolerant. It's not like terrible, but if I eat pizza and ice cream in the same day, I'm shitting water. Like, I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I mean it tends to be that way. Cheese, like I said, seems to be the least bad.
Yeah, I can
real like whole milk, ice cream, things like that. Fuck me up, like real bad. I don't know why my body likes cheese a little bit better, but
maybe something in the process.
Well, I normally eat white cheese at home too. I don't normally eat a lot of dark cheese.
Yeah,
and white cheeses are typically inherently lower in fat, so that might be it.
It could be, yeah.
But it is what it is.
Well, last one I got, and it's a pretty simple one. Is just monitoring your progress throughout.
Absolutely.
Just kind of like we've talked about the timeline. So essentially monitoring your progress would be keeping an eye on your timeline. Where are you at? Do you need to make adjustments?
Yeah, well, not even that. I mean, even as a powerlifter, your physique's going to see changes. Like a good way to track unilateral movement and the need for it is measurements. Like measuring left and right bicep, your left and right forearms,
quads,
both legs, both quads, both calves, your chest, your stomach, your waist, those kind of things. Like, because there's a lot of ways to quantify progress, and sometimes you're going to have to find ways to find progress that aren't on the bar, because not all the time you're going to stall out. Sometimes you're not always going to see a lot of immediate progress on the bar. So, if your 10 rep max on bench was 275, this is an example of mine, right? Like my 10 rep max forever on bench press was 275. The other day I hit it for 11. Well, keeping up with that number, I know that regardless of everything else right now, I know that I've gotten better at bench press.
Yeah.
It may be 1 rep better at a completely arbitrary number, but at least, that makes me feel like, hey, I have found progress somewhere, even if it's not on the big end on my 1 rep max right now. The way you look, I mean, if you look visibly leaner, visibly stronger, there's a good chance you've put some more muscle on. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to monitor your progress. Progress pictures is a great one. Bar speed. If 405 is still your max and you've had to hit it, recently, did it move fast? Did you take videos of the first time you hit it versus when you just hit it? Did it move faster?
Was your form better?
Yeah, absolutely. Or did you do it under more strenuous circumstances? Did you do it after, a week of your last day of the week after a heavy week? in your program.
Or
you know
you
what
just
I mean?
had more working sets in front of it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it was looked the same 405, but that 405 was at meet day. And this one was after 3 sets of 315 at 10 reps.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
like you know.
I don't know.
That's
I don't know
probably a
who's
terrible example.
Yeah. I don't know who's programming that way, but yeah, I mean that's a good point. Like, did that 1 rep max come after a hellacious week? Did you make a match? Did you move 10 pounds less, twice as fast as you did last time you touched 10 pounds more?
Yeah.
Like, can you double within 10 or 15 pounds of your 1 rep max now? Like, those are all signs that you're probably
Stronger than you were.
stronger than you were. Yeah, absolutely. Can you tolerate another good one that you're experiencing now that doesn't get enough weight in powerlifting, and you're under, you know now why this is important because you're doing it with Joe. Can I consistently make sets look the same with less rest?
Yeah.
Can I move 405 for 3 on the back squat going every minute on the minute and make it look like it did when I was taking 5 minutes between sets?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's probably an extreme example. But, like, can you do it on half as much rest, a quarter of as much rest?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's a lot of ways to quantify this. And I'll be honest with you, it's such a mental game. You need to find ways other than your 1 rep max to make it make sense.
Yeah.
Like, for me right now, I'm extremely strong for a relatively light body weight for me. Am I moving weight as well or better or even the same as I did when I was 30 pounds heavier?
Mm-hmm.
There's weight in that. If I'm 270 now and I was 300 on meet day and I'm moving my bench press the same way I was moving it when I was heavier, fuck, that's progress.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
That's a good fucking thing. But you're going to have to keep up with, and you should keep up with a lot of metrics to measure your progress because you're going to have to look at things that aren't necessarily 1 rep max sometimes to encourage yourself to stay in it. Because mentally it's tough sometimes.
Yeah, powerlifting definitely does have a way of kicking your ass over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Weight loss is the same way, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't lost weight in a couple weeks. That's fine, but are you tracking macros better than you were?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're doing everything and everything's a little tighter, a little bit better, then it could just be a manner of your coach telling you, shave 100 calories off your diet every day.
Yeah.
I mean, all those metrics are fair. I mean, you could think about those type of metrics with everything you do. I mean, does dairy make me feel gross? Dairy makes you feel gross, maybe.
Don't eat it.
Don't eat it. You know what I mean?
Or at least don't eat it before a lift.
There's a billion ways to track progress, and you absolutely should keep up with as many as possible because those newbie gains go away, and also goals change.
Yeah.
Like
They may shift left or right.
for me, I still want to do the summer shred. In between summer shred, I'm thinking about maybe competing in an SPF meet at 259. Like my first meet where I tore my groin was at 259. I would like to just go the distance. That would be better than the first time I did it. But there's like so many ways to quantify what we're doing and track progress.
Do you feel more muscle engagement in your movements?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a huge one for me this prep.
Just have you gained self-awareness in general, right? Like, I feel like the more I'm in the gym, the more I'm aware of how I'm moving and what I'm doing. That comes with experience, though.
Yeah.
But even as a newbie, ask yourself, like, do you feel lat tightness in the bench press is probably a really fleeting thing for a new person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They probably aren't aware with it, but do you all of a sudden feel what your back is doing in a movement that's not back dominant? You know what I mean? Do you feel what your hamstrings are doing when you're squatting? Like where your butt's going? Like, do you feel your back angle? You know what I mean? Those kind of things. Like tightness in your upper back in the squat. There's so many ways we could go on and on and on about like all these little micro examples of tracking progress. But I mean,
But ultimately, just keeping up with it will keep you motivated to continue on to your goal. And I think that's the essential part of the entire subtopic is just, it keeps you motivated to your goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you see the progress, you're like, I have moved forward.
For sure.
The flagpole has moved this way. So whether it's a little this way in a way that you didn't really know, like maybe it's something a little weird, but it still moved forward. It may have gone off at an angle a little bit, but still moved forward. So like at the end of the day, it's just going to keep your mind on track.
For sure. Track those goals. Dad jokes?
I think we're on dad jokes. I have saved so many dad jokes.
Yeah, I'm glad you have, because I don't know that I have one today, to be honest.
I'll give you one. Just look up Dad Says Jokes and do the first one, because that's one I saved.
Dad says jokes and do the first one.
I was on the toilet and I read it and I was like, that's fucking
Man, so much good information for the show comes about when we're sitting in the crapper. I just want y'all to know that a lot of our content comes from this. I never wanted to believe that my dad was stealing from his job as a road worker, but when I got home, all the signs were there.
Have you ever stolen a road sign before? You stolen a stop sign?
Yeah. Mailboxes, stop signs.
Oh shit.
I've done. I mean, listen. I have a track record of being a good kid when I was in high school, but I was only a good kid because I didn't get caught being a bad kid. I did plenty of shit that I should have went to jail for.
That's fair. I was always a good kid, so I can't say anything. I didn't do shit. My wife was livid when I told her I used all of our savings to buy stock in Bose. I told her to relax because it's a sound investment.
Good one. That's solid.
What do you call a group of fat babies?
I don't know.
Heavy infantry.
That's pretty good.
I like that one. For his birthday, I got my son an alarm clock that swears at him instead of beeping. He's in for a rude awakening. I got one more, and this one's a little smart, okay? This one's just a little smart. I asked a librarian if she had a book about Pavlov's dog and Schrodinger's cat. She said it rang a bell, but she wasn't sure if it was there or not.
That one's pretty good.
I liked it. It was a little smart, but...
I'm okay with things on the smart side. It's completely okay. I like this. I approve.
I want to say this one, but I'd get in trouble, so we're not going to say it.
Yeah, don't be getting in trouble.
Okay, this is the last one because it's dumb. We did a smart one. We got to end it with a dumb one. So there was an officer at the door saying he was looking for a man with one eye. So I told him he'd probably find him quicker if he used both. All right, that's the show. That's the show.
That's the show.
All right, rate us 5 stars on Spotify. If you made it this far, thank you. We appreciate you giving the full listen or watch if you're on YouTube. One day we're going to get video on Spotify. Maybe if they pay us. They do those contracts, right? Where they like, oh, if you give us exclusivity for your video, we give you X amount of dollars.
Do you think we're going to have more than 10 listeners to achieve that?
I think we'll probably need closer to like 10,000.
Hey, man. Only 9,990 left.
Hell yeah. Small goals.
Small goals. Next week we hope to have 11 listeners.
Hey, man.
And maybe sometime by the time 2411 will.
By the time we retire, we will have a successful podcast.
We'll be okay.
All right. You got any closing shit?
No, I think we covered it all. Set small goals, be realistic. Pay attention to nutrition.
Monitor your progress.
Fucking follow a plan.
Follow a plan, dude. It's not
follow
that hard.
A plan.
It doesn't matter
how.
It is hard.
Doesn't matter how remedial it is, or probably don't need something super advanced or what it is. But the best plan is the plan you can stick to.
Mm-hmm.
A goal seriously should be: can you finish a plan? Whether it's 6 weeks, 12 weeks, however long it is. Can you run one plan A to B? As a beginner, that could be the best thing you ever do for yourself.
Can you run a full week of a plan?
Yeah, that's a small goal too.
Yeah.
I mean,
like it may be just can you step in the gym? I mean, like can you get in the gym and ask for help? That's a goal.
Another good one we didn't mention, but can you set aside life and how you feel that day to get in there and do it anyway?
Yeah,
because we have to do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't particularly view myself as a selfish person, but I do have to set a lot of friends and family aside to go get a lift in.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think that pays by being healthier for my family, and then also by because the friends I've created in the gym are better than the ones I've created out.
Yeah.
Because I really do believe you find higher character people inside a gym than you do out.
Yeah.
But there is like some sacrifice involved in doing this. So
I have a little small tangent to go on because you said something that sparked something in my brain. So we're talking about being selfish because we're taking time, and you said you're not, because you're by taking the time to do this, you're becoming healthier and
you're giving time on the big end.
right.
Yeah.
So one thing that has really, like, I don't even know how it came up. I think I saw a meme or a video or something on Instagram, TikTok, some social media. Anyway, they were talking about how, like, I think it was like a meme or something, because like when your girlfriend says it's me or the gym. So something that really gets me, and this is a little more serious than the meme. Like, they call you selfish because you're going to the gym and not spending time with them. That's the whole thing, right? It's the time away from them. But when they're doing that, all they're doing is being selfish by taking away your time for them. So they're not worried about the health benefits that you're getting, the mental benefits that you're getting, the decompression you're getting from going to the gym, which sounds crazy, but for some of us, it's how we relieve stress.
It is.
So all they're doing is they're saying, my needs are more important than your needs.
I agree.
And it just bothers me. And I had to say that somewhere.
That's a good thing.
And there's a lot of times like with Desi and you with Sandy, they understand, they're in it. So it's really easy.
Yeah.
But for those people that are in a relationship with someone who's not in it, you have to remember that, like, that if they're not willing to be open to what you need, because when you're in the sport, when you're in like bodybuilding, powerlifting, it takes a ton, especially in prep.
Yeah.
Like, it takes a ton mentally, physically, sometimes emotionally. Like, it just takes a lot away from you. So if someone is not willing to give that to you, and they want to be selfish and say, you can't do this anymore if you want to be with me, they're not worth it. That's just the long and short of it.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah. 100%. No better way to put that, I think. Yeah.
Anyway, had to get it out there on some sort of platform.
That's good.
I like maybe that'll be our first little sip. I've been thinking about those a lot.
Little sips.
Little sips.
Little sip.
Little sips. Put it on TikTok, do little reels. We'll see. We'll see if I have the motivation to do it. That's the key. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. Small goals. Small goals.
And we've ruined the whole podcast by turning it into a joke.
No, this podcast has always been a joke. I mean, we're literally a fitness podcast, and we drink alcohol throughout. Like, this whole thing's a joke.
It is what it is. We do the best we can.
We do the best we can.
Bye.